All right, big news coming in on that big USA-India trade deal. Top sources have told NDTV that the interests of farmers has not and will not be compromised. Sensitive sectors in agriculture and dairy that were protected will remain so. Managing editor Shiv Arur joins me on the broadcast. Shiv, just decode for us what we're now getting to know about the US-India trade deal. More information coming in, and the headline here seems to be that the interests in terms of farmers remain safeguarded.
That is correct, Vedika. A fresh layer of detail, very crucial layer of detail coming in from the top layer of the government exclusively to NDTV that provides a little more clarity on some of those unanswered questions, even though I must preface this by saying we're still awaiting a full government statement on the trade deal. But what I have been told by our top sources is there is zero compromise on the interests of Indian farmers. Zero compromise is being emphasized in this context. Number two, sensitive dairy and agriculture sectors are to continue to be completely protected. India will continue prioritizing its people in energy purchases, which means market prices will determine where India buys its energy from, which is how it has been done so far as well. India is committed to purchasing energy from non-sanctioned entities. Very, very interesting and very, very important, Vedika. This, could mean that India has in some places committed to buying, oil potentially from Venezuela. We don't know that yet because remember, Trump had said that in his statement revealing the trade deal last night, even though India has not commented officially on that yet. But my sources in the government are telling me that India is committed to purchasing oil from non-sanctioned entities. India-US bilateral trade to go up 5x over the next few years. So those who've been wondering about the $500 billion amount, and there's been a lot of speculation about that, my sources in the government have explained to me that $20 to $30 billion of US goods in India, $30 to $40 billion of Indian investment and goods in the United States. This will go up 5x because this new deal will unlock a huge measure of economic activity, the purchase of aircraft, the purchase of Boeing jets, all manner of new sectors unopened as part of this bilateral trade. So that means this $500 billion implies about a 5x of the current bilateral trade over the next few years and not some big bang amount that will immediately land. So that's very important to know, and the huge amount of economic value that will be unlocked, like I said, as part of this trade deal. So farmers protected, agriculture and dairy sectors also protected. India committed to buying energy from non-sanctioned entities, which is a big, big headline, and also clarity on the $500 billion figure that Trump had put out.
Shiv, let's talk about the Venezuelan oil here because there were sanctions in place earlier. Your government sources now telling you now that the sanctions have been lifted, they will buy oil from Venezuela. But that transition could take a while, Shiv. Knowing the infrastructure in terms of Venezuelan oil, it's dilapidated to a certain extent, the infrastructure. Also, India has been buying more oil from Russia than Venezuela even produces. So that transition, Shiv, could take a while.
Not only could it take a while, but this has been one of the areas where the Indian side has been standing up to the United States continuously. Remember, Vedika, at a time when the United States had been saying that India has lessened its import of Russian oil, the data actually suggested precisely the opposite. So it's very important that the two things being said by our sources in the government are A, that India is committed to buying oil from non-sanctioned entities. You're right about the transition, being much more complicated. But it also says that the interests of our people will be paramount in where India chooses to buy its oil from, which has been basically the criterion on which it has purchased oil even now. So energy security is going to depend on market prices, is what my source in government has emphasized to me. So, to me, I interpret this as no major differences. There may be certain tweaks in terms of our sourcing of energy, but you're right. I think the transition time that it will take without any major gaps, and for a country as huge as India with a growing economy, our energy appetite is massive. There can be absolutely no stoppages or no delays of any kind in any kind of transition phase. But it's important to note that India is saying it is committed to purchasing oil from
And
non-sanctioned.
I think what's also important here is that their stand remains, the Indian government's, where it benefits India, we will go there, it's India first. So that remains, Shiv.
Very true. I think the overarching message from all of this is that India will do what is in its interests. A bilateral trade deal, they always say, the wise men and women always say, Vedika, that it makes you equally happy and it's equally painful. There will be give and take on both sides.
Yes.
There will be those on the American side as well. Make no mistake about it. The very fact that it has taken such a long time to get to this point demonstrates and establishes that India has, refused to budge on some very, very important issues. Clearly, those include dairy and agriculture, the interests of farmers, India's energy sourcing requirements, etc. It has obviously also been able to, provide some kind of elbow room to the United States on some issues. Remember, Trump yesterday said that Modi and Trump are doers, people who get things done. They will, jointly work to sort out the Russia-Ukraine war as well. All of that clarity will come down to India's energy sourcing requirements as well, because that is something that Trump has made, almost a kind of 1 + 1 = 11 kind of sum. But it's going to be interesting to see how much more clarity we get now, Vedika, once the government comes out with a statement. We're hearing it could happen today, it could happen tomorrow as well, but I'm hoping there will be a lot more clarity than we have now.